Hi, this is Curt and welcome to another edition of Fire Law Roundup.
Okay, so let's and we'll spend 10 minutes on it's a very detailed case, but I can sum it up basically. But there's so many good facets to it. It's a race discrimination case. We're in Mobile, Alabama. And what happened generally, right? We could probably spend an hour just going through the facts, but generally speaking, what happens is there had been and I don't know that we covered this.
Yeah,
or
we
not.
did. We
did.
did.
Okay.
Yeah, we did. We covered, I think it was in January of this year. We covered.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a woman had a tattoo. I think she was a probationary firefighter. She's African American. She has a tattoo, I think, on her neck.
Right. She got a tattoo. I don't think she had it, but she got it during her probationary period. So,
and it was not permissible to have, tattoos or get them after you've been hired. And look, tattoos are a whole First Amendment thing, but that's not the issue, right? So the reasonable accommodation, to use that phrase, that they made to her is just make your hair a little longer, right? Grow your hair longer to cover it up. In any event, they all thought this issue would resolved, as frankly we did. And all of a sudden, a chief level officer shows up and says, I need to take a picture of your neck, of your tattoo. And she says, why? And look, it's a Fourth Amendment issue, right? You want your body searched, that it's not just in plain view where you have to turn around, lift your hair, or whatever. That's a search. That didn't really get here, I don't think. But the first thing I said is, wait a minute, because
she hasn't filed suit yet. So we may see, I would imagine, and I'm surprised she hasn't, we may see a suit by her.
Right. This is the captains who are going to come into play.
Right.
But the chief grabs her allegedly. By the way, this is all allegedly, right? None of this is this is just based on a complaint. This is nothing more than a lawsuit complaining about it. So we don't know what's true or not. So nobody should take it that we're saying this is what a court decided. But allegedly, the chief officer grabs her. Right. So now we really could have a Fourth Amendment suit.
And could have an assault charge as well. And that's, see, there's a few things in cases like this that just caused me to say, wait a minute, if he grabbed her and they are creating this big hubdy-doo about this thing, why wasn't there criminal charges against them? Which makes me say, maybe it didn't happen the way that they're alleging, or maybe the police felt it didn't happen the way, but I got to believe with the amount of attention this case has gotten, if he actually touched her, that there would be assault charges. No question. So it raises a question in my mind.
Right. No question. And whether that's did happen, who knows?
Right. We don't know, but it just raises a question.
In any event, two African American males who are captains in the department. Now they get involved. And this is a hard thing, right? Because clearly there's got to be, I know I'm jumping all over before I even get to the facts, but clearly think whistleblower in your mind as I present this, right? So they then get offended, start asking questions of the chief. What's going on? We thought this was resolved. And they start making phone calls to HR, to people above the chief, right? Which all of a sudden, you can imagine where this goes. Now the captains are getting bad reviews, which always happens.
One got fired.
One gets fired, right? Insubordination, right? They're charging with insubordination, which is insubordination and whistleblower go both ways, right? Well, you went over my head. Yeah, I'm a whistleblower. Right. Well, you're insubordinate to me. Yeah, because you're doing something wrong. I'm whistleblowing. So insubordination and whistleblower are always the two, things you see. And here they should be saying, we were just trying to protect this woman from, they could say, workplace violence, whatever. We're trying to see what's happening. And there's then from there, and this should have just been stopped, right? I mean, if you're an attorney, you're like, why didn't you call me earlier, right? We should have stopped this. From here, it just gets into retaliatory acts and terminations and bad reviews and transfers to bad stations, all because effectively these captains start, trying to intervene. I also start thinking like, not Weingarten, right? How are you interviewing people here by grabbing them and looking at them? And they wanted the representation when they're talking. I mean, there's so many violations here. We should go through.
This is Alabama, and so there's no collective bargaining in Alabama.
Oh, so. Okay.
So there are unions, but there's no collective bargaining. So, and there was a African-American fraternal organization that was representing her. They referenced it in the complaint as a union, but I mean, maybe it is the union. I don't know, but I don't think there certainly was a fraternal organization that these folks were in, and that they came to the aid of the female. But
yeah, and she gets terminated, by the way, too.
Yeah,
right.
So
for conduct unbecoming, we should mention.
She gets terminated, then they get one gets terminated, the other ends up getting I think
reassigned and suspended and bad, right? All bad things. But they claim, right, in addition, that look, there were white males. That's why you're going to prove in a discrimination case that similarly situated individuals were treated differently. They said, look, there were white males who were charged with criminal offenses and they weren't terminated. So now what I wasn't sure, she was probationary still. So Correct. They extended in the first round, they extended her probation to probably from 6 to 12 or so. So here she's probationary. They don't need a reason to get rid of her but it can't be a discriminatory reason, right? So that's what's happening. This is bad. This is, I think, to our viewers, a good lesson in this went way too long, way too far without proper intervention, and everyone's saying, let's just stop this. If you get to the point you're like, oh, I'm going to get back at them, you are nuts. You are nuts going after somebody. I mean, people know their rights today a lot because of you, because of Statter, right? 911, all these websites and things we're doing. People are learning and understanding their rights, and they know you can't do certain things to them, like discriminate, like grab them, like start downgrading their performance evaluations, things that are said. People know you can't do these things today. This isn't 20 years ago. So this never should have gotten this far if it's true, right? And it should have been stopped if it's true forever ago. But, I got to wonder, to me, it's when you get a phone call, if this is true, from the captain said, well, I just saw a chief grab this woman's arm and turn her around. At that point, okay, this stops, right? You can see how it escalates. I just can't believe anyone let it get to this point.
Yeah, and there's some factual allegations about what the chief in the moment said to the captains, and they were accused of being insubordinate to him and not following his orders. And the chief apparently at one of the disciplinary hearings said that I didn't say that. I never ordered them to do something. So how can you be insubordinate in not following an order when the order never came? That's number one. Number two, I don't want to I would be remiss if I didn't mention this, that the captain who was terminated is now a fire chief in another community. He's been hired as a fire chief. So, I believe it's the Pritchard Fire Department. So, most people don't bounce back from being terminated for insubordination and get awarded a fire chief's job.
Right.
So, another indicator that maybe there is more to this, and that kind of goes in the other direction here, in that maybe there was some substance to this, because the community apparently looked past that and, made the guy the fire chief. So, again, lots of questions.
Lessons here as we kind of end this, lessons here. One, never touch anybody unless you're performing CPR or the Heimlich. Never touch anybody, if that's true. Yeah. Two is if you're HR, you're in charge, get a hold of this. It's time to get everyone in a room and say, what is going on? If you want somebody gone in a civil service type environment, you do it based on merit. Sure as heck not race or you piss me off or anything like that. But my God, I always wonder what HR is told. And look, we always believe people as a client. I don't care which side comes in first. I'll believe whoever comes in first, right? Because they told me the story. But let's be fair. We believe whoever came in first. So I really think that, HR, I'm questioning what HR is doing. How do they hear this? How does the chief of the department hear this and not think something's going on? It blows my mind if it's true, if any of it's true.
Yeah. Well, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle, that like it usually is. So
usually is. Well, that is our week. I'm glad to be back. Sorry, missed last week. I was out in very sunny Florida, very hot Florida, but not as hot as Arizona. But I'm glad to be back.
I'm heading in 2 weeks.
Yeah, brutal. Don't go to. Yeah. Anyway, bring an umbrella.